detected multiple Covenant dropships on approach. I recommend moving into those hills. If we're lucky, the Covenant will believe that everyone aboard this lifeboat died in the crash.
So let's get this out of the way right up front. SPV3 is an exceptional display of fan loyalty, dedication, and passion. It demonstrates the lasting power this franchise has had on its fans, modders, and players over many years. It also demonstrates with confidence just how much fun the classic Halo sandbox is, and what expanding that sandbox can do for such a memorable campaign experience. For those unaware, SPV3 is a fan-made mod for Halo Custom Edition that gives you a revamped version of Halo Combat Evolved campaign. It brings with it skulls, terminals, lore tabs, new weapons, vehicles, enemies, and even new sections of levels to give the player an entirely fresh yet familiar experience. Of course, on top of all this comes enhanced visuals that take a very different approach from that of the Halo Combat Evolved anniversary release, the one back from 2011 that Saber put together. Man, it's been that long. I'm getting old. SPV3 has been something I've been meaning to play for a long time now, and I'm really happy I did. Over the years, my mental spot for my favorite Halo campaign has definitely shifted. For an extremely long time, it was held by Halo 3 by a pretty big margin. But over the years, Halo CE has crept further and further up my imaginary rankings. I think mainly because of the design philosophy inherent with CE. Let me explain. Back when Halo MCC first released, I was beyond excited to create videos and cover the game as closely as I could. As hindsight revealed, the first 6 months of MCC left multiplayer almost unplayable, and was a crushing blow to my morale about the Halo series. While multiplayer matchmaking was super borked, I learned how to speedrun Halo CE on easy. In the evenings coming home from work, I'd practice my easy runs through the game, which ironically lets you see the majority of the campaign play spaces and is actually a really enjoyable speedrun, one that's pretty easy to pick up, to be honest. This gave me the chance to run the game like 20 plus times in the span of a few months, and I came to appreciate CE so much more than I ever did as a kid growing up. The reason for this is because Halo CE at its core feels like a good classic shooter campaign. One designed around player freedom instead of linear pathways and progression. CE, Halo 2, and Halo 3 put a heavy emphasis on letting the player approach each situation from whatever vantage they want to. Bungie gave the player a large selection of vehicles, weapons, and other elements for just about every encounter, and then puts the player choice at the direct center. I truly think this is why the older Halo campaigns are just so replayable. You can play through missions differently and approach scenarios in unique ways again and again and again. Pair this with an enemy AI system that reacts unpredictably, and you have a recipe for an enjoyable FPS experience for years. This style of design, one focused almost entirely on player choice versus the forced linear progression more akin to the modern-day corridor campaigns, is a breath of fresh air. So then, SPV3 itself. Really awesome and a fun way to experience the campaign. The new weapons, enemies, and small remixes to some of the levels really are a joy. It's hard for me to criticize what is a fan work, something that was created out of pure passion. But I definitely will remark that some levels of CE, when played casually, can tend to feel a bit long and drawn out. I think that was even a complaint back when it released. Missions like 343 Guilty Spark that just have 5 minutes, too many repeating corridors and commuting-based sections. Now that isn't the fault or the job of the SPV3 folks to resolve. Really, their goal was to make an enhanced sandbox on top of the original CE game, and in that they succeeded. The original CE definitely has those rough edges that haven't aged super gracefully in some respects. My absolute favorite moments with SPV3 though came in the form of the new portions of levels, or the remixed portions. Pillar of Autumn, Halo, and a few other levels have additional sections added to them. Halo in particular had my favorite sequence. These were hands down the best moments throughout the campaign, and were a really clear-cut reminder that the old, big sandbox formula is desperately needed in today's Halo world. 2 things to wrap up the video here today. The first is a strong encouragement for anybody who is or was a Halo fan and has a PC to give SPV3 a try. It can be a bit challenging to get everything working with this mod, but if you can, it's a blast to play. All of links in the description below that can walk you through the setup. Even if you don't want to experience the whole campaign, a few missions in particular are definitely worth playing, those being Halo, Pillar of Autumn, Attack on the Control Room. Some elements of the older campaign can definitely stretch on, even with those new weapons. So if you were to just hop in and play a few missions, it's worth it for Halo PoA and AOTCR. The second thing I wanted to mention is just a plea to 343 or Microsoft to please put Halo CE on the Windows Store in a digital form. It is a real pain, or Steam would be pretty sick too, but it's a real pain to get a legitimate key of Halo CE on PC these days. In fact, the lack of accessibility for PC Halo is really puzzling. There are a ton of players who would gladly support the Halo franchise by buying a purchased, a real version of CE, whether on Steam or the Microsoft Store, but it's oddly absent, and I'm not sure why. Halo needs PC support, period. And there are steps 343 can take between now and whenever Halo Infinite is planned to release to help bridge that gap. SPV3 is one of those bridges. Now, there is a massive audience of players who don't own Xbox Ones, but who still love this franchise and want to play it on the PC. Additionally, I know Infinite looks so far like a call back to Halo's roots. To the developers working on Infinite, I urge you to please remember the classic Halo campaign design principles. The emphasis on that player freedom, large play spaces, huge sandbox variety, and most importantly, not a heavy-handed push to steer the player through linear corridors. Classic Halo didn't rely on QuickTime sequences or lengthy cutscenes. Instead, it really put you in the driver's seat of the action. If you've played SPV3, I would love to hear what you think about it down in the comments section below. Or, if you've been a Halo player in the last decade, let me hear about your favorite campaign and why. Am I just, spitting hot air here about the older Halo campaigns and the freedom that they gave you? Or is that something that resonates with you as well? Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please thumbs it up, subscribe for more, and I'll be back again to talk with you very soon.